Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Joe popped up a couple of minutes early, so I thought we'd pop up a couple of minutes early. Joe Rayo on the left. I'm Joe Chaffee, and the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. To get everything you need getting your yard looking in tip-top shape with the best prices in town. They beat the big box stores because they make their own mulch. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. The website is omnitruevalue.com. Wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini down the block practically at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst on Long Island. Your complete holiday lighting specialist meeting all your decorating needs, whether you want your home decorated or if you need a new business, maybe decorating houses is a good line of work to look into. Give them a call, 631-957-5106, liholidaylighting.com, the website. And here we are, kind of a transition day today, Joe. We had more sun, especially this afternoon here. There was clouds this morning in Jersey and points south, and then they kind of got out of the way. But we're transitioning over into what looks like a hot and humid day for tomorrow. And I think it's going to be a bit rough, severe weather wise, for areas across upstate New York and maybe in from Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire. That zone looks like it's primed to get some severe weather from this upper trough and this next cold front that's moving on through for tomorrow.
Absolutely. And unlike what we went through over the weekend, of course, we had a very hot and sticky, humid day. No, we didn't actually. We had a hot day, but it wasn't really that sticky and that humid. We lacked the juice, so to speak, on Sunday to produce any significant shower or storm activity in most areas, but that will not be the case tomorrow. We are going to be decidedly more humid tomorrow. Dew point temperatures much higher, and that is going to set the stage, as you just mentioned, Joe, for some really active weather late tomorrow and into part of tomorrow night.
Yeah, in fact, those I think are really the two main differences with regards to what happened on Sunday, because the dew points were basically in the 50s to at the highest. Maybe a couple of spots were near 60. The dew points tomorrow are going to be much higher. They're going to get up into the middle 60s, all the way up into upstate New York and into New England. In fact, I'm just pulling it up here on the map. It didn't completely load properly, so I'm just want to bring the map up and show everybody. So the forecast dew points for tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. And we're looking at dew points that are going to be up in the mid 60s. As I said, dew point, just to pick a couple of points, Philadelphia dew point 65, New York City, whoops, didn't mean to do that. New York City 63 for the dew point forecast at 3 o'clock. And then you move up into New England, Boston 62, Springfield 63, Albany dew point just shy of that at 59. But then you go west to places in and around Schenectady, Utica, Syracuse, all forecasting dew points at about 65. So I mean, this is a much more juiced up air mass that's going to set up for tomorrow. We're going to have those temperatures. I think we're going to see highs up around and over 90 from, well, I mean, the immediate coast probably, well, the immediate coast will not, but even into northern Nassau, northwestern Suffolk County could certainly get well up into the 80s. But we're going to see highs in the, I'm going to tail it back a little bit. I've been saying the last couple of days that I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 94 or 5 someplace, but I'll back off slightly, but we should certainly hit upper 80s and low 90s. And even you get up into parts of Massachusetts, Joe, temperatures up there, and into southern New Hampshire, and even into southwestern Maine, getting up close to 90 degrees tomorrow. So this is a good daytime heating setup with solid dew points as that front approaches.
And if you, I just, placed on my screen now
And you can share, by the way. Hold on.
right. It's there. It's there. And
hang on,
on
I got to switch. And Yep, go ahead.
So what you're seeing on the screen right now is the RPM, or if you watch television, the so-called futurecast model. This is the 21Z run, or in other words, this is based upon data from 5 o'clock this afternoon. And I stopped it right here. This is as it would be tomorrow at 17Z. This would be 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And as we move along, you will notice that a good part of the afternoon, probably for many areas, will be rain free. But as we get toward the latter part of the afternoon, we begin to see showers breaking out. Here we are now at this is 21Z. This is at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Part of the night, let's say, well, this is 0130. So this is 9:30 in the evening. And then one more round to go. This would be at 4:30Z or 12:30 a.m. So, Joe, if you take this at face value, if you take all this at face value, then we're going to be seeing some rather active waves, not just one singular squall line, but waves of showers and storms that'll be coming on through from any time from about 6 o'clock tomorrow night all the way until the after midnight hours early on Thursday morning. And then everything just keeps on moving. Everything moves out quickly after about 2 or 3 a.m. And we dry out, we clear out. And Thursday looks like a beautiful day here with much lower dew point temperatures and also cooler temperatures as well. Cooler in the sense that tomorrow will be near 90, but on Thursday, probably many areas will be somewhere closer to 80 or low 80s. It'll be a much more delightful day as opposed to the steamy, sticky conditions we'll see tomorrow. And then with that cold front moving in, thundery, showery, and potentially stormy weather late tomorrow afternoon into the first half of tomorrow night.
There's some pretty big CAPE numbers being generated in parts of upstate New York, up in the upper Hudson Valley along I-90. And I think I'm suspecting that we may see a small enhanced area put up tomorrow in upstate New York, in eastern New York, and I'm thinking in Vermont and New Hampshire, and maybe Western Mass. There might be a small area of enhanced risk that gets put up there. I'll bring up SPC's forecast here to help it along. Just we flip this and bring my maps back up. And well, starting with tonight, because we do have some working severe weather tonight in the Western Lakes and in the Southern Plains. We've got 2 working severe thunderstorm watches here as of 8:35 Eastern Time. There's also a small area of marginal risk overnight in Western New York and in a small portion of North Central Pennsylvania. Now, for tomorrow, SPC, when they updated this today, it looked to me like they maybe nudge the marginal risk line a little bit further to the east to include the western half of Long Island and on up to Boston, down into northeastern Virginia, and then going back into Kentucky, western Indiana, southwestern Indiana, into southeastern Michigan. But then you see that slight risk area that they have drawn covering much of New York State, northeast and most of central and western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, northwestern Connecticut, most of Massachusetts, all of New Hampshire, all of Vermont, and western Maine. I think, again, right in there, maybe in eastern New York, maybe if you draw a small area, I'm going to guess, this is a total guess on my part here, but I'm thinking, I'm going to draw it in. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere in here, like this, that there might be an area where they might stick in an enhanced risk of severe weather, and maybe tug that marginal risk line down a little bit further southeast.
Well, I agree with you because if you remember when we did our Sunday show, Sunday at 11 a.m., and we were looking at SPC, they were talking about tomorrow in the sense that the predictability was too low. Then yesterday, if you remember, we had the entire, well, everywhere that you see where marginal is blocked out, that also included New York State, Pennsylvania, and portions of northern and central New England.
Right.
Now, today, they've changed that by adding the slight risk zone. So based upon the way things have been progressing, in the minds of the forecasters at SPC, it would indeed not be surprised if they decided to stick an enhanced area somewhere within that slight zone. But I'll tell you what, Joe, it may not happen tomorrow morning. It may happen, however, uh, after
during
they
the
do the
day.
midday update. The
Yeah.
midday update, they may very well stick in that enhanced zone somewhere within the slight zone. So,
I guess at the point that they see what, how is the daytime heating going? Is it being under modeled? Is it being over modeled? What I think once they can determine that discrepancy, because we noticed yesterday. I didn't really give the temperature profiles on the NAM or on the GFS a close look today, but we noticed yesterday how the GFS and the NAM in particular were a lot cooler than the European, which seemed to be the most consistent with trying to push up an area of 90-degree highs. I got to think that at least through the morning and into early afternoon, what's going to stop it? If we've got sunshine, into midday, and we're going to start off with a pretty good launching pad tomorrow morning. The dew points are going to come up. The temperatures tonight are probably going to go nowhere. Uh, I don't know what stops it from getting to 90.
right, right, and again, that's all you need. I was talking with my sister last night, and I mentioned somebody, a gentleman who was part of our lives when we were much younger. He always used to come to my grandparents' house, and he also used to come to the house half stewed, I might add.
Yeah.
His name was Dick. I won't mention the last name because maybe somebody from his family will know who I'm talking about, so I won't do that. But it was always a case of when Dick, he was a car mechanic, and one time he came over to look at my car because it wasn't running properly, and he made the determination that the battery was near the end of its line. He kept saying to me over and over again, "It ain't got no juice, Joey. It ain't got no juice. It ain't got. It just ain't got no juice." And then he would pause, and then he'd say, "You know what the problem is, Joey?" And I looked at him. I said, "It ain't got no juice, Dick." And he stopped. He said, "Hey, you know what? You could be a car mechanic too."
Oh,
That's
good.
exactly what I would have said.
Good
I mean, it was
Lord.
like that. But I thought about Dick yesterday because I said to myself, back on Sunday when we had hot temperatures but didn't get very much in the way of thunderstorm activity, I said to myself, well, I know the reason why. The atmosphere ain't got no juice. There was no juice to the atmosphere. Well, guess what, folks? Tomorrow, the atmosphere is going to be juiced. Tomorrow, the atmosphere is going to be set for producing, as Joe just alluded to, more widespread activity. You just saw on the RPM or the FutureCast, it's not going to be one single squall line. It looks like it's going to be several different waves heading in our direction, beginning around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and then just carrying over into the midnight or after midnight hour. So if you get hit, let's say around 7, 8 o'clock, that ain't the end of it. It may be coming, another round may be coming, let's say 11 o'clock or midnight. It's going to be a very active night tomorrow night. And Joe, the only thing that concerns me is I have not one but two library talks tomorrow night,
All right.
and of course,
You have to.
we also have Joe and Joe hopefully to talk about all this active weather. And I'm just saying to myself, God, the last thing I want is to be right in the middle of a talk, and all of a sudden, NYSEG in the wonderful equipment that it has, you can blow on it sometimes, and everything goes. And with these thunderstorms rolling about and the potential for high winds and power lines coming down, that's the last thing I want to see tomorrow
Right.
night happen. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out or pans out tomorrow.
The other thing we should mention too is SPC has a 2% tornado risk in the slight risk zone, but inside that slight risk zone is a 5% tornado risk in eastern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Western Mass, and just touching northwestern Connecticut.
And see, that's probably where if they put an enhanced version up tomorrow of the
It'll
of the
be
map,
there.
that'll be where it'll be. Yeah.
And the wind, of course, is they have 5 to 15% probability here, with 15% probability again matching up with the slight risk zone, which makes sense, and an overall 5% risk of hail. going on. And not to forget our friends out in the west, to the west in the western plains, with enhanced risk tomorrow in southern Nebraska and slight risk down into Texas. There too, a categorical 2 to 5% tornado risk, a 15 and a 30% risk for wind, and that includes the hatched area that you see there. That is for wind gusts in excess of 65 knots. So they're
Right.
talking about some serious winds there. And also in terms of the hail in that hatched area, that is for hail 2 inches or more, probability of a 10% probability of 2 inches or 2 inch diameter hail or larger within 25 miles of any point inside that hatched area. And they have a 15% chance of that. So
Do you realize we're talking about maybe close to tennis ball sized hail in that
yes,
hatched
in that
area?
right. That's not for the Northeast. This is for
No,
the plains,
no,
just to be clear.
right.
I want to just move over to day 3 to take a look at what's going on for day 3. And this could be another big severe weather day on Thursday into Friday, with the system that's moving eastward to bring rain to us on Friday, eastern PA to southern New England, and probably some surrounding areas to the north and south. We're looking at an enhanced risk tomorrow from Oklahoma through Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, southeastern Kansas, with slight risk wrapping around that. You see the marginal risk poking into the Ohio Valley. And just for laughs, we'll just go to a day 4 to 8. I'm sure they have a predictability too low for day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8. So tomorrow and Thursday, what look like two very busy severe weather days, and tomorrow specifically with respect to us here in the Northeast. I just want to also show. I brought up the HREF model, the 700 millibar. For I always like to look at this and just kind of follow the jet, because it's one of the other difference that we have for tomorrow versus Sunday is the fact that we have a fairly well defined shortwave trough that is swinging eastward, and that makes that's a big difference from Sunday, when we really didn't. We were kind of operating with a very weak shortwave and on the backside of an upper high. So you really can't do much when you have a setup like that. But just taking a look here at the 700 millibar map, just to follow the jet stream pattern with that shortwave trough that is swinging eastward. And you see it there tomorrow morning, moving across Minnesota in the western legs. Now, the strongest winds, they're mostly in western PA, and then on up into upstate New York, basically along and north of I-90. So that really kind of matches up, I think, well with the where SPC's got that slight risk and where they have that 5% risk of tornadoes. Because if you look on this map, the yellow, so a little yellow patch shows up there, up just north of northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire. So you've got some strong gusty winds of 40 to 50 knots in these sort of wind, these jet stream bursts that occur, and it's out of that you're going to wind up getting into some rotation. The NAM3, Joe, today was pretty interesting with what it was showing with respect to tomorrow, and I'll bring that up to give everybody a close-up view. And this is tomorrow at noon. There's not much going on, and then suddenly you've got this sort of narrow line of storms that forms out ahead. But there's that main line on the NAM3 across western New York, and then heads for the Catskills, kind of reaches peak intensity around 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And it weakens that secondary line. Now, here's the thing. I could pull up. We could spend all night with this. We could pull up any one of a dozen models, and each one of them is going to have a different profile of what the thunderstorms are going to look like tomorrow in terms of the radar. So,
Correct.
so the best thing to do, really, at this point, you know that the risk is there. You know that the atmosphere is set up for something. It's a question of where and how strong. we'll just have to we'll just have to wait for the radar to pop up to see what pops up on the radar and how it pops up. Uh, Otherwise, it's hard to use these as forecast tools since everyone's going to give you a different picture. I'll bring up the 18Z HRRR. Well, I just noticed there's some new model here on Tropical Tidbits. It's just what we need, another just another
Another
model.
model. Another
Um,
model.
this was the 18Z HRRR, which is supposed to be good with thunderstorms. And on this one for tomorrow, I mean, it's got some blotchy areas here, but it's nothing to really write home about. Looks like the RPM, which is oftentimes you could probably describe that as an average of all the short range models that they use to put it together. It looks like they almost took the worst of all the models in terms of where the thunderstorms are and just laid it on one map. Because I don't know, the HRRR is not. There's some big cells here, but it's not some overwhelming, whopping squall line that comes on through.
Yeah, and I'm a little disappointed. I was looking at the FGen maps, and they don't really show very much. They no, they don't. I was hoping to see some kind of a significant. Well, actually, they do show something on at 850 on the GFS 850 for F850 FGen for 0Z. They have something. It looks like outlining that zone of convection over central New York. But then by the time you move it 6 hours later, it's gone for the most part. I mean, it's there and it's gone.
Yeah. This new model, by the way, is called the FV3 High Resolution 1 Kilometer AGL Reflectivity, DBZs. So, it's basically what it thinks the radar is supposed to look like, and means sea level pressure, by the way. And this one is a little bit more robust in terms of showing some big cells that develop and move on through. Some of them, it's got one batch on this model, Joe, takes it across northeastern Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, and even a couple of big cells over Long Island tomorrow evening before they finally move on out to the east. So, look, we could do this all day long. We could, take your model of choice, but we know that the upper the upper air conditions are all suggestive that there's going to be some strong thunderstorms tomorrow, and we'll just have to wait for the radar. I want to also just really quick take a look at what's going on out in the west, just out of curiosity to see what it does in the plain in that enhanced risk area for tomorrow. And back in Missouri, you can see those cells there, some strong cells moving through the lakes. Then you got the stuff here in the east, and that goes out. And now here we go with for Thursday, we have that enhanced area from Missouri down into Oklahoma and Kansas. And I mean, by Thursday evening, Joe, fires up a really nasty looking area of thunderstorms from western Missouri down into western Oklahoma, northwest Texas. So that's all part of our next system that we're going to have to deal with.
Yes, and somebody on the chat board says, Joe Rayo, are you hoping for severe weather tomorrow? And what did I just say? Like 5 minutes ago, I said I'm dreading severe weather because I'm worried about losing power during one of my library talks. The last thing I want to see is, the perfect world here would be if we do get nasty weather. It comes when I'm not going virtual somewhere tomorrow evening. But it looks like, Joe, there's not going to be any way, shape, or form to avoid something tomorrow. Most everywhere you look. In the Hudson Valley, New York, northern Jersey, Long Island. I mean, it's going to be there. The potential is going to be there. It's going to be there right through the first half of tomorrow night.
Now, I want to just make an editorial comment here, since this is the new upgraded GFS that was was the parallel GFS and came online a few weeks ago. Was it a few weeks ago that they made it full throttle here? I forget. But my initial impressions, Joe, are that I'm not really all that impressed with this. I'm trying to understand why the GFS, although it did go at 12Z to look much like the other models are showing for the weekend, which is what we talked about yesterday. That is, rain Friday, later Friday into the early Saturday morning, and then maybe some leftover rain or showers along the coast during the day on Saturday, and then higher pressures from the north. The northern part of the jet stream kind of suppresses everything south, and we start to see maybe some slow improvement on Sunday, although we do have an upper trough that's going to come on through, and then a good looking Monday. And I said, all right, well, that's nice. It seems to have come to line. And then I look at the new 18Z GFS, and it's gone back to this idea where it makes this little cutoff low. You see it there in southern Wisconsin, and it just hangs completely back southwest from upstate New York all the way down into western Georgia to the Florida Panhandle. And when you look at the surface of this, okay, it suddenly decided on this was the European, by the way. The European was more suppressed because of the look. The trough is almost on the coast by Sunday morning, so we're done. The European today would have suggested that we would see slowly improving weather conditions. The GFS, on the other hand, lags the upper low much further to the west and cuts it off back in western Pennsylvania on Sunday and has a one and then drops it down into Maryland and Chesapeake Bay. It's got a two contour cutoff sitting in Delaware Bay on Sunday evening. And so what it winds up doing out of this is that it wraps up a second wave that develops, and suddenly Sunday is like I wouldn't call it a nor'easter, but it wipes out the whole day. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you go from one to the other? I am just prove it to me. I prove it to me because I have been steadfast on the idea of being cautiously optimistic after Saturday, and I don't care what this model's done today on this particular run. I'm still going with the idea that we're going to see slow improvement from north to south on Sunday and a nice day on Monday, Memorial Day.
Well, John Charles has said on the chat board what I have been saying from almost the very beginning: never trust the 18Z runs nor the 6Z runs, the so-called intermediate runs. You put your bet on the 0Z and the 12Z runs. And actually, Joe, between the 0 and the 12, I prefer the 12 versus the 0Z because the 0Z, especially in the summertime, think about this now, those models are being based on a lot of convection, afternoon heating,
Right.
thunderstorms that have popped up or whatever like that, and that I guess will play into the equation of when they're going forward 5, 10, 15 days, as opposed to the morning runs where everything is a lot calmer and maybe more, or maybe you just want to take a mean between the 0 and the 12Z. I don't know, but I don't like the 6 and the 18Z runs.
I don't like, sometimes those off-model runs do pick up on trends, but on the other hand, I'm looking at the European today, and I saw the 12Z GFS, and it actually matched up pretty well. And I said, "Oh, hooray!" My initial thoughts on the weekend are going to come out, and then I just pull up the 18Z now, and I see this disaster. Really, I mean, look at this. I mean, the Friday night into Saturday morning, we expected that there would be rain, and we knew the low was going to hang around. And there might be some leftover coastal rain, or even maybe some inland showers. I don't have an issue with, but you'll notice that there's a hang back low because the upper trough on the GFS, as I just showed you, hangs back and cuts off in a serious way. So now you've got a second wave that forms off North Carolina and heads to right off southeast of Atlantic City. Joe, it's got heavy rain Sunday afternoon in the eastern half of Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, southeastern New York, right into Sunday night, and even Monday morning, we're still dealing with some leftover clouds and maybe some leftover showers if this is the case, with maybe some gradual improvement Monday afternoon. I just don't accept this. And by the way, just as an additional line of support, I looked at the Canadian. It's just like the European. And the afternoon icon model, okay, is also the idea that we'll get this rain Friday night into Saturday, and then the whole thing just suppresses. The weight of the high just kind of pushes everything to the south and east. Yeah, there might be a spotty couple of showers on Sunday because the upper trough will be working through, but they're going to be scattered, and the rest of the time it's going to be clouds, intermittent clouds and sun for most of the area. The only other thing I would say is that it is going to be cool for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday will probably be a bit on the raw side. And then Monday, we should be back up into the low and mid 70s with what I think should be a nice sunny day.
Hopefully.
I'm putting your
Hopefully.
foot down. I'm putting your foot down.
Well, we've been saying, I think, from the get-go that this upcoming Memorial Day holiday weekend probably will be one of improvement, or one that will be getting better as the weekend wears on. We certainly do not want to see what this 18Z run is suggesting, a sudden surge of blech, which may carry over not just through Sunday but on into part of Monday
Right.
as well.
Well, just for laughs, really quick, I'm just going to pull up the long range and see what it has to say, because next Tuesday is June 1st, Joe. The sixth month of the year begins.
Yes.
Yes. So that lifts out. There's basically a westerly flow into the middle and latter part of the week. Something moving across the lakes going into next weekend. Then another strong upper low drops down into the northern plains and makes a trough. There's a lot of one of the things that struck me, at least from this part of the time, this time of year that we're in. There's a whole lot of amplitude here. It's unusual to see amplitude like this in late May, early June.
It is. Well, I mean, like what you just pointed out, with a closed low, what, a 2 or 3 closed contour cutoff down near Maryland or Delaware Bay or whatever in late May.
Yeah.
And I've seen, believe it or not, I have seen closed lows this late in the season.
Oh, they do happen.
They do happen, but I mean that's a little bit on the well,
it is a little ridiculous
side. Ridiculous side, yeah.
Especially since it's the only model that's doing it. That's the other thing that bugs me. And none of the other models are even remotely close to what the GFS is doing this evening. The 12Z was matched up, as I said, pretty well with what the other models had. So I'm going to be Memorial Day weekend. 2/3 of Memorial Day weekends have at least one day where it's raining. Okay. So we sacrifice Saturday. We view Sunday as a transition day, which winds up being clouds with some sun and maybe a couple of spotty showers. Again, this is for the area eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, down to about northern Virginia. And then Monday, Memorial Day, looks to be a decent day. That's what I have been saying for days, and I am not going to waver, certainly not off of one really odd model run. Can you imagine if this was the wintertime, though? We're back full screen, by the way. But can you imagine if this were January and when we were looking at something like this? This would be one of those where the snow weenies would be ripping the hair out of their head in total frustration to have the GFS probably showing some kind of coastal, heavy snowfall, and none of the other models would have it.
Well, my suggestion would be ignore GFS 18Z tonight.
Yes. All right. Well,
and maybe you might want to ignore it for the rest of the summer.
Well,
actually, but
look, as I said, you're looking at all of this. It is so far this new GFS model has not overwhelmed me. Let's put it that way. Johnny Quest would like to know asked about the eclipse and the supermoon tonight.
Yeah, the moon is at its closest point in its orbit relative to the Earth tonight, known as perigee, about 222,000 miles away. So you'll probably notice, if you live, especially near the Atlantic shore area, that the high tides are going to be higher than normal these next couple of days, and low tide will be lower than normal. There's going to be the very large range of the tides. And as far as the lunar eclipse, Joe, I'm sorry to say, well, actually, this is very democratic. The folks who live in the central and western United States will be able to see this eclipse tomorrow morning before moonset as a total eclipse. The moon will completely enter the shadow of the Earth. We, however, for us, the eclipse begins just as the moon is setting. So we're not going to see any of it. No eclipse for us tomorrow morning. However, in 2 weeks, when we have the solar eclipse, which will happen and peak at sunrise, the sun will be coming up at maximum eclipse. 4/5 of it will be covered by the moon. That could be a very dramatic sunrise in a couple of weeks on June the 10th. We see it, but the same people who will see tomorrow morning's total lunar eclipse, they will not. So it's a trade-off. They get the lunar eclipse tomorrow morning. We get our eclipse in a couple of weeks. And of course, we also have to hope for the weather will be clear in a couple of weeks as well.
All right. So tomorrow night, I think probably the best thing to do is I'll watch the radar and make a judgment call. If the radar's going crazy at 7 o'clock, then I'll jump on at
Of
7 or
course.
7:30.
Yes.
And you know what? I'll send you the Zoom link anyway. I know you won't be able to use it, but just in case, maybe the library will lose their signal, and then you'll be free. Okay. So if that's the case, I'll send you the Zoom link anyway. If it looks like the storms will hold off later, or if it doesn't look like it's a crazy, doesn't look as crazy as some of the models might suggest, then we can just wait till 9 o'clock and do a quick wrap up of whatever's happened. So I'll make a judgment call. So when I do that, I'll do what I always do. I'll put up. You'll get a notification if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. If not, you should be. So just hit the subscribe button, and you'll get a notification. If you're on my weather platform on Patreon, you'll get the post up with the link as soon as I set it up. So we'll leave it at that. And I don't have a Briller Jeopardy. I don't know if you do.
I do.
You do. So let's do it quickly, because I've got something I got to do in a little while.
All right. Well, the chairman says that since I did very well on TV show debuts last night, we would try tonight from Mr. Chiaffi a top 10 movie debut, since you love the old movies so much.
Ooh.
And he provides a list here. What year did the following movies debut? And since he likes you so much, Joe, you can be within 3 years for credit.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is the original Planet of the Apes. What year did that debut?
1966.
Was that the one with Kim Hunter? I guess it was.
Yes.
1968. So you were within 3 on that.
Okay.
How about Citizen Kane? Orson Welles' famous.
Citizen Kane, 1939.
Again, you're within 3. It was 1941. How about Rebecca?
Rebecca, I'm going to say 1941.
Even closer, 1940. Pretty good, Joe.
Okay.
Number 4, On the Waterfront.
1954.
Right on the nose. 1954 it was. How about I'm Singing in the Rain?
Oh, God. 55.
You're right at the cusp. 1952. You're within the 3-year limit.
I wasn't sure. I was going to say either 53 or 55.
How about All About Eve?
Oh, that was 1949.
You're one off.
1950.
Yeah. Schindler's List.
96.
Again, 3 off. 93, believe it or not. Here's number 8. Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin.
35.
1 off. 1936.
Okay.
The Godfather.
72.
Right on the nose. 72. And number 10, Rear Window.
55.
54.
Okay, it was either 54 or 55.
Congratulations, you got them all, and
Yeah, not too
within a
shabby.
thing of
I would
three.
have gotten
Yeah.
them. I would have liked to have gotten more of them on the nose. I should have. When my brain functioned a bit better 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, I probably would have gotten most of those on the nose. Um, I have seen every one of those movies that you mentioned. I have seen them all,
I wouldn't doubt it.
and many of them multiple times. All
What
About
was the
Eve, I could do whole scenes from All About Eve, word for word. That is a movie that felt. It's funny because two of the movies that you mentioned, um, All About Eve and Rear Window, were stolen by Thelma Ritter playing supporting roles in both those movies.
I didn't know that.
God bless her. She had well, there were there from All About Eve. Um, so there's a scene where Ann Baxter decides that she's going to take Betty Davis's dress after she's finished performing on stage. She's going to take it back to the wardrobe woman and carry it back. Now that's a union job. It's the job of the wardrobe woman.
Right,
So Thelma
right.
Ritter says to Betty Davis, she says, and Thelma Ritter was Betty Davis's basically roommate slash maid, and said, "May I be so bold as to say," with a really deep, smart-ass Brooklyn accent, "May I be so bold as to say something? Have you ever heard of the word union?" And Betty Davis says, character Eve says, I'm sorry, Margot says, "Behind in your dues, how much?" She says, "I haven't got a union. I'm slave labor." But the wardrobe women have a union, and next to a tenor, a wardrobe woman is the touchiest thing in show business. She's got two things to do: carry clothes and press them wrong, and don't let anybody muscle in. And on Rear Window, she's nursing Jimmy Stewart with the broken leg, and she says to Jimmy Stewart, "Have you ever heard of the stock market crash? I predicted that." And he starts saying, "You couldn't have possibly predicted it. It's all about economics." She says, "I was nursing a director for General Motors at the time. Kidneys," he said. "Nerves," I said. And then I asked myself, what has General Motors got to be nervous about? Overproduction. And when General Motors has to go to the bathroom 10 times a day, you know the whole country's about to let go. So anyway,
And Thelma Ritter, by the way, she died relatively young. She was only about 66 years old when she passed
yeah, she
on.
had a heart
She had a heart
attack.
attack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I know. I love. I have a particular love for supporting actors and actresses because oftentimes, because they're a lot of times their function is to tell the truth, while all the other characters are all like spinning their webs and doing whatever it is they're doing. They're the ones that actually are driving the plot, and they oftentimes act as either somebody's conscience or they're the ones that will speak the truth as opposed to the double talk. So you get a real good idea of what's going on. The chairman hitting super chat tonight, and he also bought. I didn't post it tonight. I'll try to do it tomorrow night. But my friend John Avanzato, who writes, Dr. John Avanzato, who also has written his 12th in a series of mystery novels with his character, Dr. John Cesari, who goes around solving crimes. And the new book is called Under the Weather. And I am a principal character in that book. The movie's coming, but in that book. Anyway, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Under the Weather. And I don't get anything, by the way, from you buying it. So if you buy it, John gets, that was a thank you to me because I had helped him with one of his prior books when John Cesare was on some ocean liner and some murder occurred. So he was in the middle of a tropical storm. So I had to, give him all the weather details on how that would work. So he thanked John thanked me by making me a character in his new book. So I ordered it myself. I'm going to get it in the mail. I'm going to get it from Amazon hopefully Thursday. They said I would get it delivered. So I am looking forward to finding out who did it and if I did it.
Absolutely.
All right, so everybody, have a great night. Thanks for being here tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Just watch for the posting in terms of what time. We're going to play it by ear. So be safe and have a good day on Wednesday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.